then he'll be like, then he'll try for 2 seconds.
Good morning. It's been a minute or two since we've seen each other. We are really excited to see you and be back today for days 3 and 4. Since we've had a few minutes since we've seen each other, what good things have happened? Always good things that happen in your life personally, professionally, maybe with your family, maybe your jobs, maybe a school of students, maybe
I do let in, you'll join the call when someone lets you.
Inclusion activities, reminding us why we do our inclusion activities. 4 reasons. 4 reasons we do them. First is remembering who we are in relationship to the group that we're with. Next, we're remembering our norms of participation, setting that idea for all of the different pieces of norms that we follow. Next is also bringing the mental energy into the room, setting that high energy for decision making, dialogue, collaboration. And last is bringing us from me or I and bringing into that group thinking. So bringing us from me to we.
And to start us off this morning, you're going to be engaged in what we call a people search. And it's going to work in this way.
You will stand with your left guide and a writing utensil. If you turn to page 123, on page 123, you will see the directions at the top. What is the people search? Why we're doing it? It's going to bring energy into the room, build community for us, and also build some prior, focus us on some prior knowledge. And at the top of that direction, you'll see 6 people, each of whom can sign 1 line and have a conversation about the prompt, and then you'll jot some notes.
Every time you have a conversation, there's an opportunity to that skill. It's opportunity to paraphrase. Paraphrase.
They say, it's been a minute, Tanya, since we've been together. 7 norms, that gives us an opportunity to pause and listen and then paraphrase the speaker. What clarity do you need before you begin? All right, go people search.
That's and get there, activate their mind.
Let's hear from you. How's it going?
Okay. I hope so. I find it easy to kind of restate what's happened, to summarize so that I can understand the role of the day-to-day stuff. I have a really hard time with the saying back to somebody how they feel without making me, but saying, it seems like, or I hear, or whatever. Primarily because I don't necessarily think people like it when you tell them how they feel. They're like, you don't know how I feel. I know how I feel. And so I know there's a better way to do it. I've seen you do it. I've seen you do it. I'm just not, I can't figure out how to do it. So that part I'm struggling.
You feel a sense of caution before telling someone else where they are.
Say, they're so upset. And then have them go,
Oh, I'm not.
you know what I mean? We add a couple of pieces to that. They think that's okay. So we continue to play.
I'm gonna go backstage. Okay. So Amy, when you did that, did you notice that I didn't paraphrase you?
No.
You said you feel cautious about, and you said yes.
Oh, I did.
And I think that it's part of it is just the practice of feeling more comfortable. It feels awkward when we start, and backstage I will share with you that I don't think I've shared with this group that I actually went home and told my family I am practicing this. It's going to be awkward at first, and I probably won't get it right, and they'll be like, "Who is this person? This is not my mom." But I needed to practice in a place that I felt safe to practice paraphrasing, and so being able to do that helped me. I think being able to say things other than "you're really mad" or you see, it allowed me to choose other words, but do what Tony said in a small phrase, and practice that same thing. So, what were questions?
We get away from your, especially looking for clarification statement versus questions.
And you can ask a question. We're going to talk about questions today.
Instead of saying, so you feel, asking that question versus making a statement.
Yeah. I would add that at times a paraphrase helps the conversation because a question can feel different than a paraphrase feels, and so when you stay in that paraphrase, it keeps you in that level of dialogue instead of asking for clarity. And we ask for clarity when it's appropriate, but if we can paraphrase first, sometimes that takes care of all of it.
Notice things about paraphrasing. Okay, might pay attention because we paraphrase a lot up here. If you don't notice it, that means we're doing it well. When you notice it, it means it sucks to be us. We messed up. No, I'm kidding. When you're paying attention, you will know.
Okay, so we're going to move into what we're doing today. They give us a little bit of a segue. We'll start with where we've been. On day one, when we were with you last, entering the territory, we really worked on that research behind our professional communities of learning, the foundations of adaptive schools. On day two, we did the developing identity and capacity, so about our group member capabilities. On day three, today, we're going to be doing transforming meetings. And for those of us in the room, I think everyone in this room leads meetings of some sort. It's going to be a great day. We're really thinking about meetings that we can do the most amount of work, least amount of time, people leave happy, and decisions stay made. Great meetings. And then on day four, we will continue, we'll do sustaining community, but we'll continue some of our work with meetings, and then also go into some cognitive conflict, ways to stay in cognitive conflict as a part of successful meetings. And then at the end, we'll be taking our meetings from this workspace to our workplace, and how we're going to do that. Okay, so, and today we'll have a framing of meetings as learning opportunities, structures for successful meetings, and an understanding of how to integrate the norms into the collaboration into your meetings. And increase skills of what we were just discussing, posing mediative questions. What do you want to talk?
And Kristen's going to do yeah.
Oh, so on the agenda we have for today, Refresh and Reconnect, which we've started. We'll move into successful meetings. Then we'll do energy sources. As we finish our energy sources, we'll move here into posing questions, and then structures for successful meetings, and then our organizing and integrating. And for organizing and integrating, you notice a little musical symbol there. One of the things that I need to know is who in this room has ever led music, vocal, instrumental, dance. There we go. There we go. Okay, I'm going to talk to you at lunch, at least for meetings. And for just a moment, I want you to think about what did you see me do, or what have you seen Tony do or Jeff do as we start meetings, as we start these sessions? What are the first things we do?
Take a moment, check in with your table group. What do you see us do first, second, third, and so forth? What do you notice?
You through what we do in our meetings, and in your brain, you could be doing your own self-check of what your table was able to see and notice.
So we'll be sharing what we do and why we do it. Then you'll have a chance to check in with your own people. What do you want to keep in what you do? What do you want to change? What do you want to stay the same? What do you want to throw out? And we're not saying it's the only pattern. We're just saying this is kind of what you and why we choose it. So first of all,
we do a welcome, and that welcome is, it was thinking about what positive things happened. You talk to your table groups, and we call that the audience connect. We do that to bring that energy into the space before we start anything else.
we also do it because we know all this work is about relationships. So it connects us to you. We get to hear what's going on in your world. And so some way to connect with you and with each other.
Second, we do an inclusion strategy, and we do that, notice, even before we do the agenda. We do our inclusion strategy, and Adaptive Schools believes that your voices are really important in the room, and so it's important to get that right out of the gate, to get you all talking, to set that norm of participation, and to ensure that your voice matters. Next, we do an introduction and an overview, and I'll do these two at the same time, and we do outcomes. The introduction and the overview is what we go through our 4 days, and that's really for our big picture thinkers in the room to see how these 4 days align. And then we move into the outcomes for today, which is really more of the detail-oriented folks. That helps you. All throughout, we do the what, why, how. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? How are we doing it? And I think we've already shared in day 1 and day 2 that we're usually doing the what, and sometimes pretty decent at the how, but we oftentimes forget the why. But we put that in because as adult learners and also as student learners, we consider triple track agenda. If folks know the why, it's much easier to be able to be a part of that dialogue or decision making or collaborative work when we understand the why. And in fact, if we don't know the why, sometimes those are the things that are frustrating for us. We don't know. And the last one is having that visible charted agenda. We believe that being able to have that where you can see it at all times, it's purposeful so that you know where we are and you know where we're going, you know where we've been, and it keeps us on track. If we only put it on the slide, then as soon as we flip to the next slide, you lose the agenda. That's also nice. Sometimes we do paper agendas as well, so that's another way that we can do that. But it's nice to have it on the wall because it keeps all of us fresh. Sometimes I think a paper agenda can also get stacked underneath all of the things, whereas this is just always visible for us. And on that post-it, reflect of these pieces, of these components. Think about a meeting you have coming up or something that you have that you're planning. Which of these would you try to incorporate?
And then check in with your partner. What do you want to keep and maybe more than on your sticky? What do you want to throw?
Very intentional. Okay. Okay. We are going to move to we are going to move to a sculpture. Sculpture is called Make Way for Ducklings. And I know we have some specialist folks in here. So Make Way for Ducklings is actually a book by Robert McCloskey. It's also a sculpture by Nancy Shawn. This is in Boston. It's a sculpture that's in a park in Boston. And in 1991, Barbara Bush actually gifted a set just like this to Russia. So there's a second set like this in Moscow.
Has anyone seen this? Yes, no. You've
Have you seen it?
in Boston, I assume.
Boston Commons.
Something else.
I have not seen it in person, but I would really like to see it because here's the fun part about it. Look what happens. We don't know who, we don't know how, but someone magically dresses these ducklings up for different seasons.
They do it at night, so no one ever sees it. You don't know who's doing it.
Magical. Yep. Getting ready for winter. And then this was during the pandemic. They have a little house.
There is a book that I watched an interview with Nancy Shawn. They said, does it irritate you if people do that? She said, oh no, I love it. But no one knows who does it.
So this isn't her only sculpture. She also has another sculpture. And this sculpture is called Dialogue. And when we look at this sculpture, we're thinking about, what does this sculpture say to us? Dialogue. Turn and talk to your table. What does the sculpture say to you about dialogue?
And we're going to surface that collectively. What do you see that says dialogue?
She's like, that's
No, that's pretty close to slap.
Thank you, fellas.
What does this say to us about dialogue? I'd like to share.
Where do you see dialogue?
Facing one another. Okay. Facing one another.
Close.
Close.
The proximity. We're taking care of it. So they're close, I said they're close.
And
One looks like they're listening. It's like they're both.
So which one looks like they're listening?
I would say the on the left, the one on the right is different documents.
if you couldn't see Andy did this, like they didn't have their arms crossed, instead they have their arms in an open position.
So we're talking about the one that's listening, which suspension is that person in? I don't know, listening, and you can turn back, you do those things, listening in a way that or listening in.
This is what?
That's one. I'm sorry.
I was reading for a second, I was like, well, that's all right.
All right, I have to retract that.
That's
We're
right.
gonna be right on the next one. When we ask the next one, we'll get it.
It's okay, Tony's training with me right now, so.
Now you know this is one. Yeah.
And suspension one, listening to understand.
Yeah.
And so,
What's the other one in?
Sheree, what's the other one in?
Oh, suspension.
Two. Thank you, Sheree. What tells us that the one on the right is in suspension 2?
Remember, listening or speaking in a way that keeps the listener receptive. That's the biggest piece of that. Putting your idea out in a way that keeps the listener receptive. So how do you think the person on the right is doing that? He's got his hand. His head is slightly tilted. The guy on the left.
in.
How do you know the listener is receptive? Because you don't see the listener like this.
They're open.
Yeah.
It's just that their heart is open to receive it.
Yeah. I guess we could say it's almost like you put a basket or a basket. You put a basketball in or a basket here. And ready to, yeah, whatever.
A bowl for receiving, possibly. Okay, so
Notice all of that you picked up without any words. The words here. So notice how important the nonverbals are to us. I can walk into a room and tell if two people are in dialogue or if they're in an advocacy or in conflict, so to speak.
Antonio will be in tomorrow.
Yes.
Non-verbals.
Yes.
So it's a way to that to remember. All right. And so we are now going to be thinking about norms of collaboration. So you will be setting a goal for today's work, and to do that, here are 7 norms of collaboration.
There, they'll live up here.
They live there, and they also live, I believe, in your book on page 46. So let's turn to 46. And if you need, take a moment to review the norms of collaboration, the 7 norms, and you will, on a sticky note, write on your Post-it, you will write your goal for today's work. What is it that you are intending to do during today's work? What will you pay attention to, and what actions will you take during today's work, choosing one norm?
Moments like what John said.
Father, my mom, the pronunciation, water, my off of that. It has please that attention to the like. Our friend was going to the camp. She and her husband went to get across. So we go drive to the street and look for this camper. They're kept once you put it in your mind, you see it. Yeah, so then attention action.
So Kristen, how come we have to do that?
Because it's got some fun.
Yeah.
And because we know that it's purposeful. Everything that we do in Adaptive Schools is research-based. There's a reason behind it. And as Dr. Janeway and I talked about, it simply works. So the reason we do that is we're setting an intention. And if we write it down, we think about it, we write it down, that helps keep it in the forefront of our mind. And there's an effect. It's called the Baader-Meinhof effect. And the Baader-Meinhof effect sounds a little bit something like this. So this summer, I actually unexpectedly aggravated a car. My daughter's vehicle got destroyed in one of the big windstorms. You know, downtown Lee Summit, we have big trees that are old. So quickly, I gave her my car and had to go get a car. Went to the Jeep dealership. I don't really know anybody who has Jeeps. I haven't really seen a lot of Jeeps. I drive one, decided to get one. I don't think we have a lot of Jeeps in Lee Summit. As soon as I buy a Jeep and know I have a Jeep, all of a sudden, everywhere I go, every stoplight, every parking lot, every fast food line, I'm in line with Jeeps. They're everywhere. When we set an intention and it's on the forefront of our mind, it helps keep it there so that we notice it, we pay more attention to it. And again, if we look over at the pyramid of influence there, we have our intention at the bottom. Then we're going to be paying attention to that. And then hopefully the goal would be that our actions are matching that. So if I chose pausing today, then that's going to be on my mind. And in fact, when we did this at advanced training, that was the norm that I chose, was pausing. And so during the entire day, I really thought about pausing when I was listening before I responded with a paraphrase or a question. And that was my goal for the day. So if you'll take that Post-it, put it in the front of your book, start cover.
Don't put it too far away because you're gonna need it in a couple minutes.
Okay. Now it is time for us to find some new partners. Turn to page 12.
Put back to the beginning. That's when we attract the partners.
And so what is it? It's our partnering strategy. It's a grouping strategy. It says 4 varied partners, 1 per slot. Why are we doing it? Variety of folks to partner with. That way we're not partnering with the same person all the time. We're always partnering with someone at our table. And here's how it's going to work. Here we go. Yes. You'll stand in a moment with your book and a writing utensil. You'll move to a person at another table. You'll record each other's names under the same hour. And you'll repeat that process for each dedicated hour. And you'll be finished returning your seat. What questions do you have before you do this? Find your talk partners. In a moment, you will share your norms of collaboration goal and your rationale with the partner.
So the norm you pick, why, set your rationale, why did you select that one? You're also going to stack and pack side by side with that person. So Chris is over there in the single floor and the last off the clock with everything other than that, stack and pack, stay by the group.
Stack pack, and you're going to go to your 12 o'clock partner.
You need to be in groups of at least four.
Okay, great. All right, with your partner, you are sharing your norm of collaboration from your Post-it note.
Thank you.
Yay, we found it.
Air
Good job.
purifiers. They're air purifiers.
It was in a chair. Excellent. Great, that's great news. All right, so we'll share our norm of collaboration, the goal you have, and why. Why did you choose it? For the day, and as we move forward, we are going to be thinking about meetings. Who's been to this meeting? Should we start without him? I've been there. I'm thinking about a couple of weeks when we were supposed to be meeting early, and it was supposed to start at 8 at 8:05. We were lonely at 8:15. You're thinking, did we send them the invite? And yeah, so that's one type of meeting we have. How about this meeting? Who's been to a meeting like this?
Now, most of us have.
Who might have led a meeting like this? It is command?
I don't know. What is that?
I've been to meetings.
I don't know. Some of the people are certainly not. It doesn't look like they're having.
So we are thinking about what are some unproductive behaviors that you've experienced in meetings. Think about some of those unproductive behaviors. Some of you might have to think harder than others. Some might not have to think quite so hard.
So what are the things that make meetings go, I call this meetings gone bad. What are the things that make meetings go bad?
Think about that and record those on a sticky note.
Oh, I have lots of them.
Good small dissertations going. So we'll have some good examples for later. We're gonna set that to the side. We will come back to that Post-it note here in a while. So set that to the side.
Our goal is to address 85 to 90% of what we do between today and tomorrow. So we'll be coming back, checking back with it. If I did what I just learned or what I've seen, what could I check on? So that's our goal.
We've been thinking about and looking at unproductive meetings. But our job in meetings really is to level the playing field. When we have collaborative meetings, it's also thinking about how do we leverage the wisdom in the room. And so we are going to move away from unproductive meetings and think about how do we set up our meetings so we have productive meetings, successful meetings, effective meetings, again, where most decisions or most amount of work, least amount of time, decisions take day, people leave happy. How do we do that?
So we're going to start with leveling the playing field with what you already know. There's a wealth of information in this room. You are your own best resource. We're going to start with what you all know, and that will kind of set a ground level for us. We'll be watching to see where we get. An engagement strategy called Start Hard.
And we have two sets of directions. I'll start with the first set of directions. The first set of directions is, if you will, on one sticky note, one per idea, you will write a behavior or a strategy that you've seen or you've been a part of that is helps you effectively. What strategy, what behavior allows me to be successful? One idea per sticky note, and you want to be able to do 3 to 5 sticky notes. Oh, you already did? Yeah. Thank you. 3 to 5 sticky notes. What questions do you have before you begin? Write your sticky notes. We're going to give you about 30 more seconds to have 3 to 5 sticky notes. Right, here comes next direction. The next direction. First, in your table group, you will share examples and categorize your sticky notes. Then, with your sticky notes in the categories, you will choose and identify a topic or a name for that category. We'll use chart paper to put these on, and you'll record them
what there needs to be before you make your charts. So one of you's gonna lay out a sticky note, say, here's something I have, somebody else will probably say, well, I've got something connected to that. You'll organically start to create those categories. Transfer the sticky right to the paper, you don't need to rewrite it. Transfer the sticky right to the title, create it this way.
Okay. Here's my. There you go. Have it together. Thank you. So the next thing that we are going to do is that you're going to do how the museum tour. The strategies is used so that we can really get some collaborative, not just our own students. So here's how this will work. At your table, first, you'll choose a docent. Docent means teacher. So that person will be the teacher of the chart, the explainer of the chart.
Also,
Second, everyone else will be the movers, and they'll take a Post-it note with them, and on that Post-it note, they will write notes as they travel to each table and do the tour. Third, once the docent has stayed at the table and everyone else has moved through the tables taking notes, you'll return back to the home, and at the home, you will teach the docent what you learned while you were out taking notes during the Zoom tour. What period do you need before we begin?
I'm gonna add a couple of pieces. One is you're gonna move in this group. So we're gonna use the music
Thank you.
to move you. So when you stand up, you'll move to the next table. You'll start there, then when you hear the music, you'll move on to the next table. Every time you hear the music, you'll move. We'll just move clockwise. So when we start, whoever the docent is will stay here, and then everybody else will move here. This table will move here, this table here. So clockwise.
So take your Post-it and your sticky.
Yes.
And
Okay, question. Thank you.
I would like to repeat the directions. First, at your table, you'll choose your docent. Because your docent will be the teacher for all of the groups as they reach through the museum tour around.
That's fine.
These are docent.
You don't have to teach everything on the chart, otherwise we'll be here all day. So just highlight anything you think is kind of significant or kind of novel that would stand out, and be prepared to answer questions.
And second, everyone else at the table will take a Post-it note and pen, and they will travel, as Tony said, in a clockwise position as a group, and you will stay at that group, at that table, learning from that docent until you hear music, and the music will be your cue to move. Third, once you finish traveling around, you're back at your home table, then you'll use your sticky notes to help share with the docent who wasn't able to take the museum tour. One other thing you might need before we start our museum tour. Okay.
Stand out, move to the next table clockwise, and then